I gave my sister a fake wedding date to stop her from stealing my big day. My sister Nadia and I are 2 years apart, and for as long as I can remember, she has found a way to insert herself into every big moment I've ever had. When I got into my dream college, she announced at the dinner celebrating it that she'd gotten a promotion, so the whole table ended up toasting her instead. When I bought my first car, she leased a nicer one the same month. So when I got engaged to Owen last spring, I already knew what was coming. And sure enough, at my own engagement party, in front of 40 people, Nadia stood up, tapped her glass, and announced she was pregnant. Everyone rushed over to her. My engagement turned into her big news. I spent the rest of the night watching people crowd around my sister while my ring sat there completely unnoticed. So when Owen and I started planning the wedding, the one thing I refused to tell anyone was the date. Not because it was some big secret from the world, but because I had this gut feeling that if Nadia knew the date, she'd find a way to plant something right on top of it. A baby shower, a huge party, some announcement, anything to make sure that weekend ended up being about her. I told my mom we'd share the date once everything was locked in, and I asked her not to push. That lasted about 2 days before Nadia started calling. At first it was casual. She'd ask when we were thinking, spring or summer, and I'd say we were still deciding. Then it became constant. She texted me every single day, always right around lunchtime, the same exact message. Have you two picked the date yet? If I didn't answer, she'd call, then message me on every app I had, then get our mom to ask on her behalf. I told her more than once that we weren't sharing the date until the invitations went out. She'd promised to drop it, and the next morning the text would be right back. Last month, I finally hit my limit. In one afternoon, Nadia texted me 7 times about the date, then called my mom crying that I was cutting her out of my life. That night, Owen looked at me and said, very calmly, why don't we just give her the wrong date? At first I thought it was too far. Then I actually thought about it. Nadia always assumed I wanted a big fall wedding because for years I'd gone on about how much I loved October, the leaves, all of it. So a fake October date wouldn't just be believable to her, it would feel obvious. So I called her and told her we'd finally picked. October 18th, at a vineyard about an hour outside the city. Nadia went quiet for a second, then got weirdly excited and said that sounded perfect. And just like that, the daily texts stopped. No more calls, no more messages, nothing. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I got nervous because Nadia going quiet has never once meant she let something go. 2 weeks later, my mom called me laughing so hard she could barely talk. Nadia had booked a massive gender reveal party for October 18th, the exact same day, at a venue 20 minutes from the vineyard I'd named. She'd already sent invitations to the whole family, gone all out. A huge cake, a photographer, the works. My aunt called me separately, very serious, asking if I could move my wedding so the family wouldn't have to choose between the 2 events. My cousin offered to help me find a new date. The entire family was tied in knots trying to figure out how everyone was supposed to be in 2 places on one Saturday. I told everyone not to worry, that Owen and I would sort it out. Meanwhile, Nadia was glowing. At Sunday dinner, she actually pulled me aside, all sweet, and asked if I was absolutely sure October 18th still worked for us because she'd hate for there to be a conflict. I looked right at her and said, of course, we'd be sending our invitations out soon. She practically skipped back to the table. She thought she'd won. She thought she'd boxed me into a corner on my own wedding day. Our invitations went out the following week. The wedding wasn't in October. Owen and I had actually gotten married 3 weeks earlier in September in a tiny ceremony at a garden downtown with a handful of people who actually mattered to us. The invitations everyone opened were for a casual reception on a totally different weekend at a totally different place. October 18th had never once been real. Nadia called me screaming. She said I lied to her, humiliated her, let her blow a fortune on a party built around a day that was never going to be my wedding. She said I made her look obsessed in front of the entire family. I told her that maybe next time, when someone says they aren't ready to share something, she should respect it instead of trying to steal it. She hung up on me, and she hasn't spoken to me since.